Welcome, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Chloe Bellatori, and I'm a communication and relationship expert. I'm a graduate of Princeton University and Pat Allen's Want Institute, and I've been doing this work for a little over a decade now. I work with men, I work with women, I work with couples, I work with teenagers. I've also written 3 books on this work. Here. Which I will put in the chat right now. These are some of my basic credentials, my website, my Instagram, where you can find some stuff. I'm also about to start teaching a module, which we go into this work in greater detail, and it's a smaller group. And so those are really great. That's a great way to learn this work quickly, economically. So if you're interested in that, that's the module packages link that I put in here. Okay. I don't have Raul tonight, so I'm admitting everybody myself. Okay, so what is this work? I use the tools of Eric Berne's transactional analysis. I use tools from Pat Allen's androgynous semantic realignment. I also use tools that I created myself because, as I said, I've been at this for a while. I found this work when my marriage was foundering. I'm now 21 years almost married. But at the 10-year mark, we were really in trouble. And I had seen an incredible result in a neighbor who had started a group with Dr. Pat Allen. And because of that result, which was like, she went from being a single mom to getting an amazing job, making a lot of money, marrying guy of her dreams. I mean, her whole life really turned around in a period of like 3 years. And that impressed me. And so when I saw those results, I was like, oh, I want to check that out. Even though I didn't really know how it was going to help me or what was going to work or even really why I was unhappy or my life wasn't going the way that I wanted it to. I had not yet connected that directly to my childhood trauma. A lot of times when we see problems in relationships and relating, what we're seeing is the result of childhood trauma, because any trauma that we've had in childhood, because it occurs between the ages of 0 to 12, tends to have a greater effect on us than anything that happens afterwards. So, Freud postulated basically you live from 0 to 12 and then the rest of your life is getting over it. Now, whether you grew up in a relatively happy home or maybe you grew up in a relatively unhappy home, it's not really that differentiation doesn't matter as much as just understanding the fact that being a child can often just be traumatic, whether your parents were well-intended or ill-intended, because you're entering into an existing society. It's kind of like becoming an immigrant. And when you enter, your home. And so humans have basic needs of authenticity and attachment, but when you're young, you really have to attach, right? Because infants, children, we can't survive on our own. So we really have to pick attachment, and oftentimes that's at the cost of our authenticity. Later in life, when we try to use the strategies that we used in childhood to make sure we got along with the people who own the refrigerator, for example. These coping mechanisms, which we thought were based on existential truths, really aren't. And when we bring them into our adult lives and specifically into our relationships, they often backfire. These strategies are often collectively called childhood scripting or life scripting. And that's actually one of the topics that we go into when I teach this work. in the module packages is the life script and understanding that so you can understand your life better. Really, this work is based on getting you what you want. I've never really seen results like I've seen with this work. I had been a longtime patient of traditional kind of emotive therapy where you go and you listen and they talk or they listen and you talk and they don't say too much, right? And that's nice because you get reflected and you get to get things off your chest. But oftentimes, after a while it gets old because your life's not changing. And so I kind of got sick of that kind of traditional therapy. When I found this work, I was sold because again of the results that I saw. Okay, so it's based on, yes, excavating childhood trauma, understanding your life script. What we look for when we look for successful relationships is really that balance of feminine and masculine energy. All of us are feminine, all of us are masculine, okay? Um, the most successful relationships are balanced, and that includes the relationship that you have with yourself. Now, we often become imbalanced as the result of these coping mechanisms or survival strategies that we develop in childhood, which means basically that we are sometimes leading with our masculine side when we need to be leading with our feminine side, and vice versa. We're leading with our feminine side when we need to be leading with our masculine side. And so that's called ego dystonia. And that's what I specifically work on. Okay, brief definition of feminine and masculine, also known as yin and yang. So these feminine and masculine are really kind of misunderstood terms, but basically feminine energy, also known as yin energy, is the right brain, right? It's anything to do with sensuality, sexuality, spirituality. It's the world of feelings. It's receiving. It's passive, patient, vulnerable. I know a lot of us don't like being vulnerable, especially if we've had any childhood trauma. Feminine energy is in the world to make it fun, but it's not of the world. And feminine energy is often represented as flowers. Then we've got the left brain, which is the logical yang energy, the masculine energy, linear thinking, competitive, conquering, controlling, giving, nurturing, taking care of. These are masculine traits. Okay. So masculinity is often symbolized by bricks. Masculine energy is very much of the world. And most of us are in our masculine energy when we're at work, because when we're at work is when we're dealing with ideas, we're active, we're doing stuff, so all of us are usually in masculine energy when we're at work. For some of us who want to be feminine in our relationships, we have to take a moment to switch into that when we come home from work or when we stop working. We're living right now in the generation of very strong women, which is great and wonderful. Feminism, though, was more an economic movement than it was a psychological movement. So a lot of my clients are really successful, perhaps in, their professional life, but not as successful in their love life, because it does take some consciousness to code switch from the two. Consciousness, what does that mean? Well, consciousness, as defined by Carl Jung, is the balance of feminine and masculine energy. And so it's this balance that I'm going to keep coming back to. I always give an introduction, and then my favorite part is getting questions from you guys. And so you guys can ask me anything about love, about relationships, about dating. Those are really my areas of specialty. But also communication. These tools will translate wherever you take them because they're based on truth. Okay. because they're based on the basic duality that we have here on planet Earth. So that's why I love them, because you can look at literature. And that's one of the things that we do in the module. You can look at literature, you can look at movies, you can look at reality TV, you can take examples from your own life. We had in the last module, there was a woman who had been at a lunch with a couple, and she saw the breakdown in the communication, and she very clearly saw that they were having a power struggle, which was really based on this imbalance between them of the yin and yang energies. And so these are the kinds of things that I work on. When you see these dynamics, it does give you an edge. It does level up your consciousness, your awareness, your relationships. I don't think it's an unfair advantage, because we're using it for love. But if I do find out that people aren't using it for love, then I don't work with them anymore. So that's just a statement about my work and my integrity. It doesn't happen that often, but it has happened. Okay, so now I'm going to open it up for questions, and you guys can ask me questions. And I also love to hear your updates. So you guys can ask me questions about any of the topics aforementioned, family issues, work relationships as well. Okay, let's see. Either raise your hand and put your questions into the chat. Okay. I'm seeing this question from Nell. On the weekdays, how can I find a girlfriend? Please let me know. Okay. So Nell, where are you? Let me unmute you. Nell, can you talk?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So what's going on with you? Are you doing the flirting that I taught you?
Nope, cause I have a vacation right now.
Okay. So are you doing any of the flirting that I taught you? Do you remember the 5 flirts?
Yeah, I do remember, but I didn't do,
Okay.
cause
Okay. So that's my best advice for you, is to do those 5 flirts. And what that means is I especially want you to focus on doing the flirting where you're seated. You know, the one day a week where you pick a spot where you like the women there, and you sit down either with a book or your phone, stay 45 minutes or an hour. And when you see someone you like, try the eye contact and smile at the same time. And if you get a good response, that's your cue that you can open a conversation. Okay. Are you there? Okay. Well, I know you're nervous to approach women, but this rubric will help you. And I'm not hearing you right now.
real?
Okay. Oh, there you are. Okay. Do you understand?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
Try that and let me know how it goes. Okay.
okay.
And since you're free on the weekdays now, you can do it. You can do a few more seated flirts if you want, but at least do one.
Okay. But on the weekdays, it's very hard to find them.
Okay. Well, yeah, you'll have to work a little harder then. Okay.
So, what's the best? What's the best place can I find them?
I mean, that's really up to you and what your interests are. You know, I have clients who meet people at dog parks. I have clients who just simply go to the Starbucks down the block. You know, you do something that you enjoy and go somewhere where oh, that's a good idea. Somebody put in the chat Barnes and Noble. Go somewhere where you like the look of the women there, you know, where you think you might, like someone.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try it.
Yeah, try it. Okay. So that's something that I assign Nil is the 5 flirts. And so for single people wanting to flirt in person, well, flirting in person is really essential. I don't like people just to be relying on the apps, especially now that COVID is over. But for single people, it's good to practice flirting 5 days a week. 4 of those flirts are on the move. So in the course of your day, going to the grocery store, picking up your dry cleaning, whatever it is, when you see someone you like, you do the 5 seconds of eye contact with the smile, same time. And then if you're feminine energy, that's the cue that the masculine energy can approach. If you're masculine energy, then you approach if you get that cue. Then 1 day a week, you plant yourself somewhere where you like the look of the people there, like I was saying to Nil. So some people are learning golf for that reason. Maybe it's the coffee shop by the fire station. So, you can play around with that. But the nice thing about the seated one is that if you keep going to the same spot, people will start to get to know you, and then they'll have more comfortability, and naturally it will be easier to meet people. Okay. Okay, Raul. Do you have a question for me?
Yeah, hello. How you doing today?
I'm
First
good,
time in your
thanks.
group.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you for having me. So I have a question. So me personally, I haven't been able to speak to women, not because I'm not able to hold a conversation or I'm not able to, distinguish ways to approach them, but because uh, back when I was in college, there was a lot of infidelity that I engaged in, and I guess I want to say I kind of traumatized myself with it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to ask you is, how can I go ahead and engage in a relationship, even with knowing how easy it is for someone to cheat because of the cheating that I've done in the past? And how can I just go ahead and get rid of those insecurities?
Good question. So how long ago was that?
I want to say probably like 2 years ago.
Okay.
2 years ago.
Okay. So it's been a couple of years. And
Yeah,
have you just been like not dating at all since then?
yeah, for the
Okay.
most part.
So one of the things that you really have to look for when you're dating, and this is like basically the hallmark of integrity, which I'm happy to hear you're learning. It's like, right, when you cheat on someone, you really hurt yourself, right?
For the
Yes, you
most
hurt the
part,
other
yes.
person too, but a man is only as good as his word. So if you don't have your word, you literally have nothing. And so, you learned a really hard lesson there, that it's bad for you. So what you look for in yourself and in partners is, do your deeds and words line up? So, do you say what you mean and mean what you say, for example?
Yeah,
Because words are really nice, but it's actions that really, make the man. When you start noticing that your words and actions aren't lining up, that means that you're slipping. If you start noticing that your potential partners' words and deeds aren't lining up, those are red flags. And it can be, like when you learn some of this work, you can see things so clearly. So even in the setting up of the date, right, you will be able to see, are their words and deeds lining up? Like if she said she'd be ready to talk to you at 7 and you called her at 7, or him, this works for homosexual relationships too, because it's still about the balance of energy. So when you call that person who said they'll be available at 7, are they available at 7? Or do they then tell you at 9, oh, sorry, that was da 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 da, right? These are just little things, but they add up. Sometimes it's so difficult to make a plan with somebody that you just abandon making that plan, because it's like, it's such a bad first impression, right? If you can't even negotiate getting your plan done, it's it doesn't bode well for the communication for the future of the relationship. Now, I was just kind of assuming, but do you in your next relationship, do you want to get your feelings cherished or your thoughts respected? Everybody wants both. But when you're in a conflict or in awkward situations, we use this rubric so that we don't have power struggles. So which do you want more? Do you know? One's the masculine and one's the feminine.
I would say I would like to have my thoughts respected for the
Okay,
most
so
part.
thoughts respected, that's masculine. Great. You said, I just want to flag you on one thing. You said, I would like. So this is another just little tip for you guys. Would like is different than the word want. I want to get my thoughts respected. I would like to get my thoughts respected. Those two phrases have a different impact, right?
Of course.
Okay. So it's like two people want to buy your car. The one person would like to buy your car. One person wants to buy your car. Who's getting the car? The person who wants to buy the car. So when you say the words would like, what you're sort of subconsciously telegraphing to the other people is you don't really think you're going to get it because it's the subjunctive tense, right? I would like, but you know, so it's not as strong as want, just FYI. So when you're talking and you're talking to yourself, try to use the word want. Okay, so you want to get your thoughts respected. That means that you are going to be cherishing the woman's feelings. Okay, and these rules of communication, this is a lot of this is Eric Berne's work, and it's also androgynous semantic realignment. So that means when you start with a thought, you inquire about her feelings. So I want to take you to dinner Friday night. How do you feel about that, for example? Okay. And so using some of these things, like if you make sure that when you're controlling that you're also cherishing, for example, like in the example I just gave you, these things will help keep you kind of on the right track, keep you honest with yourself and with others about your commitments, and prevent you from being a narcissist and prevent you from taking advantage of other people. So the reason that we have this rubric, especially in a conflict or a sticky situation, awkward situations, is because if I'm coming at you with my thoughts and feelings, then you have nowhere to go. You're a 0 and I'm a 10. Okay. And that is an act of narcissism. Doesn't mean you're a narcissist, but that is an act of narcissism. Most people don't understand that, and they don't know how to argue, and they don't know how to communicate because we're not taught this stuff in school. Like, even though these tools are all based on psychological and scientific principles, there's a lot of theory that people are taught, but these actual tools to execute on the theory are relatively new. So that using that rubric of making sure that you are cherishing the woman's feelings, I think will help you. What do you think about starting there?
That sounds like a great place to start. Yeah, for the most part, since I mean it's not necessarily about controlling the feelings or the actions, but more about cherishing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the sense of like narcissistic actions.
Right. This is called negotiating with love. There's 3 ways to communicate. Bully with intimidation or fear. That's when you say, you're coming to dinner with me Friday night, like it or not, right? You don't ask about the feelings. Seducing with guilt or tears, which means I'm really sad you not asked me to dinner in so long. Would you please take me to dinner? Okay. Which is the struggle for the feminine energy. And then this way, which I've just kind of really briefly outlined for you, is negotiating with love. And that's really what I focus on in terms of communication styles. Okay, so try that out and let me know how it goes. I love to hear your guys' updates. And
Thank you.
you are so welcome. And you can reach out to me. Here, I'm going to put it in the chat again. You guys can reach out to me on Instagram or through Meetup, through my website. You can email me. Those are all my credentials in the chat. Okay, Susie, welcome. How can I help you?
Hi, Chloe. This is my first time joining this group, and so far so good. So
Welcome.
my question is pretty simple. So I've been doing online dating for a couple months, and it didn't go very well. For me, the situation right now is kind of like really hard to find a serious relationship, even the short term. And I kind of having trust issues to men. I mean, even at very first place, we communicate, what are you looking for? Okay, we make sure we're on the same page. We're looking for a long-term serious relationship. But afterwards, just not like, I feel like a man just keep telling me, keep saying the things that they think women likes to hear because they don't want to piss you off or whatever.
Hmm.
And right now, I mean, I'm kind of give it up for dating, going out to see, and just doing the same conversation first day, second day. It's kind of hurt, and I'm
Right.
having these issues for men. Like, okay, I've been seeing this for the last, I know what's going on. I know what kind of game you're trying to play. Like it's kind of hurt.
But
And
why do you necessarily think they're running a game on you?
I don't know. I feel like online dating has a problem for sure, and my generation, the men, they just like play the games naturally. I mean, I'm not blaming anyone. It's kind of self-protection or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like there's no honesty, or you can just be honest. If you don't want one relationship, just if you want looking for something casual, just let me know at first place. But I don't know how to say. It's just kind of women guts. I don't know. I'm kind of having trust issues too.
Okay. Okay. So a few things. You said your online dating is not going well. So sometimes I recommend to people that they get off online dating, at least for a little while, because it gets, like you said, it's super easy to burn out. And it gets kind of impersonal. I mean, during COVID, that was one thing. That was like the only way we could meet, right? But now you don't need to only do online dating. You can go out, everything's open. So the thing about online dating is we're also not very good at predicting the things that will make us happy. So it sometimes can devolve into like a box checking exercise. So it's like you think that if they have these boxes, oh, then they're going to make me happy. Then you meet them, they don't make you happy. You have no chemistry or whatever it is. You're also dealing with an algorithm, which is just somebody's idea. It's not even as good as a matchmaker, right? Because they don't even know you. It's just a computer generated thing. So, online dating can start to feel really impersonal and you can start to get really burnt out on it. So my first suggestion is for you to stop or take a break from it for a little bit and see if you can do some in-person flirting, like what I was telling Nil. 5 days a week, 4 of them in the course of your day, one of them seated somewhere. You decide on the place, but make it somewhere where you like the men that are there, hotel, bar, golf course. I mentioned people are getting dogs just to meet people. But wherever it is, there's an area near where I live where, just a lot of the firemen hang out. So if you're interested in them, although they do have, I just read that firemen have the highest rate of infidelity. Okay. So that's the first thing. So try to do a little bit more in-person flirting. And I think, it's also a little easier because when you get on the apps, even if you do go back to the apps, don't have long conversations on the apps. Try to move it right into meeting. Don't talk to them for more than 2 weeks max, okay? Because sometimes you get lost in these conversations on the apps. Also, people aren't necessarily that good at speaking and writing, or people who are good at speaking and writing don't necessarily translate into being good at speaking when you meet them. So when you meet somebody, if you have chemistry or you don't. And so that's why I like to get to the meeting first. If you're just doing in-person flirting, then you already know you're at that point, right? So I encourage you to go and do things that you enjoy, and then just keep your eye out, and try this method of flirting. Now, do you know which you want? Do you want your feelings cherished or your thoughts respected? Which do you want more?
Yeah, I think I want more my thought be respect by others.
You want
Oh.
your thoughts respected.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that means that you're going to have to cherish a man's feelings. Okay?
Cherish men's feelings.
Yes. That means that you're going to be the one controlling, you're going to be the one planning the date, you're going to be the one asking how they feel about something. Is that what you want?
I'm not sure.
Well,
I'm a
you
little bit
can-
confused here. Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
but that sounds
No,
good.
that's
but,
fine. Look, there are plenty of relationships that work that way.
work that way.
Plenty.
Okay.
Plenty of very successful relationships between masculine women and feminine men, right?
But I think I will prefer 50-50.
Okay. Well, the thing about 50-50 is equality what we want in relationships is equity more than we want equality. Equality tends to kill the chemistry. And this is where the language of feminism kind of comes in and gets us in trouble, because there actually are differences between men and women, and there are differences between masculine and feminine energy. And these differences, these complementary energies, is what make the relationship complete. Now, if you want to be with somebody else who is very even, and I mean, that's the true definition of an alpha, is somebody who has a very strong feminine side and a very strong masculine side. So it's kind of what you're describing. Then what you have to do is, if you start with a feeling, they have to respond with a thought. And if you start with a thought, they have to respond with a feeling like that. So if you say, I want to go to dinner Friday night, for example, then you'd say, how do you feel about that? Okay. But if you said, I feel hungry, what do you think we should do? Do you have any ideas?
Okay.
Then that would be respecting his thoughts, for example.
Oh, okay. That's a good way. So usually I'll just go, do you want to grab dinner on Friday?
Okay. So yeah, give it a little thought. And you can also try it both ways. Like sometimes with some people, you might be more in your masculine and you want to lead more. Other people, you might want to be more in your feminine. You want to receive more. The important thing is that you don't go for both at the same time, because again, that's the act of narcissism.
Okay. I will try those.
Okay. So yeah, so try that. And if you do want to be in your feminine energy, then you're going to be listening, you're going to be receiving. If you're in the masculine energy, you're the one asking questions, you're the one controlling the date. You see the differences?
Oh, yes. Now I see.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And you can even look, like, now that you have this information, you can even look this week at like maybe some different couples or that or even celebrity couples, and sort of try to start identifying who is the yin energy, who is the yang energy. And then if there's a conflict, it's almost always a power struggle, either for the yin energy or for the yang energy.
Okay. I will start from there. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, try it and let me know how it goes.
Sounds interesting. Yeah. So first time I heard this theory. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I know.
Now I know the
new to me
difference.
too.
Now I'm much more clear about
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you for sharing, you guys. I love answering your questions. And again, you can always reach out to me for a quick question. Longer than that, we can schedule a session. Or you can sign up as well. We're going to be starting the module 1 in 2 weeks from Saturday. And that's a really good opportunity to get the theory, we work on the theory, and then each person works on applying that theory to their life. And so that can be really interesting. Okay. 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 Pablo. Oh, wait, Susie, did you have another question? Because your hand was still up.
Oh, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, Pablo. Hi, Pablo. Okay, Pablo is not unmuting. Okay, let's
Hey,
go.
it's Pablo.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Hey,
Hi,
Chloe.
Pablo.
Hey, thanks for the seminar. It's really good. You and Susie kind of answered my question, which is I'm finding online dating to be a complete waste of time and money, and I've been thinking about only approaching women face to face. I work at a museum. I'm pretty good at it. I'm going to go to a bookstore weeknights and sit and read a book, because I think I'm also going to start going to church on Sunday morning.
That's a
and
really good one. That's a really good one.
I'm looking for a recent widow from San Marino. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's a joke. Everyone relax. Yeah, no, because these machines cannot measure chemistry. These machines cannot, you could look great on paper with someone, and there's some human quality that the scientists, AI, will probably never be able to formulate, which is, does this person appeal to me or not? It's
Yeah.
unquantifiable.
Yeah.
And I
this
can
is the-
tell you in 1 minute whether or not,
Yeah, men are even faster than women. Women,
Yep.
Sometimes chemistry will build
Yeah,
after a few dates.
yeah,
But men, if it's not like in the first minute, then
yeah.
or like the first 15 seconds.
I had this exact conversation with a woman at the museum. She said, "How'd your first date go?" I said, "Nah, it's not there." She said, "Go out with her again. Relationships have to build." And I said, "No, you don't get it. It's either yes or no."
Well,
And
that's because for
they ain't gonna
women,
change.
sometimes the chemistry can build.
Yeah.
So for a good relationship,
Interesting.
you need chemistry, compatibility, and communication. Chemistry is like what you're talking about. That's a gift from God. You either have it or you don't. And it's really one of the things you can least work on. Like I said, sometimes for women, it will take a minute to build. And I do encourage women to give it at least 3 dates.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Yeah, because I've had many clients who have said to me, "Chloe, it's not there. I don't like him. We're just friends. I'm just going to talk to him about this business idea I have. I already told him I'm not interested." And then what do you know? They end up kissing and suddenly they're in love, So that has happened
Interesting.
several times. But okay, well, it sounds like you have what you need.
So wait, you can flip
What?
that to advice for men. If the man is interested, you go on a date and you're not getting the positive vibe in response, go out with her again until she might build feelings for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you are interested,
Huh.
ask her out again.
Oh, I
You
love everyone. I love every woman that walks down the street. I'm easy.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're not getting, women own the word no. It's okay to ask and it's okay to say no. It's only creepy if you keep pressuring beyond no. then it's creepy.
Okay. All right. Excellent advice. Thank you so much. Thanks for the
Okay, let me know how it goes.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing. Okay. Okay, Helen. Hi, Helen.
Hi,
I can barely hear you.
can you hear me?
There, that's better.
Okay. I'm new and I'm just really intrigued by this masculine and feminine energy that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a game changer understanding this.
Yeah, because I've been told by several people that I have extremely passive feminine energy. And I've noticed that the men who approach me tend to be abusive in some way, or looking for someone who's very passive and gentle and sweet and kind. And
Those are all, wonderful attributes. It only becomes a problem when someone takes advantage of that, right?
yeah, and I think that I mean, I even had a doctor, she was an alternative doctor, and she's like, as soon as she met me, she's like, whoa, like you are putting out extremely passive feminine energy. And I bet the alphas are just eating you alive. And they kind of are. I've had 2 terrible relationships with, I think they were narcissistic. And I was able to exit. They were borderline abusive or neglectful. And my question is that I don't really think I am passive feminine energy. I think I'm shy. And I present that way initially, but as I become more comfortable, I, fall into my true nature, which I'm actually more of, I think, masculine energy, which they find out, and then that's when the fighting starts. Because I'm actually more of a leader, and I'm, asking the questions. I really trust my instincts about things. So it's hard to lead me. It's hard for me to submit. And the last relationship, the guy met me in church, and it seems like the church men are looking for women to submit. And
I think that's too general, but okay.
That's been my experience, but I
Okay.
just may have been the wrong men approaching me because of that passive energy initially.
Well, I mean, I think if you want a masculine man, the passive energy is good. The problem becomes when someone is taking advantage of that and not cherishing your feelings.
And
So
that probably is my last relationship where he, like what you said initially, he wasn't a man of his word. There was incongruency between his words and his actions, and he just didn't have integrity, which I'm desperately looking for a man I can respect and look up to.
Yes.
And I have yet to ever find that. So it's hard for me. I think it's hard for me to respect a man and have that more feminine energy when they haven't earned it and they don't have integrity. So I guess I guess I'm unclear as to which way I really am. Am I feminine or?
Well, like I said, everybody is both. And, especially as women get older, we become more masculine because we have hormone changes, and men become more feminine as when they go through andropause because of hormone changes. That doesn't mean that you can't still be a masculine man at age 60 or a feminine woman at age 60. You still can, but being aware of these dynamics will help you harness your energy in a way so that you and your partner are complementary and not having power struggles. So a couple things that you've said are a little bit red flags. Like, for example, if somebody, like you said, if somebody's words and deeds aren't lining up, that's a red flag, right? So that's not even a matter really of masculine or feminine energy as much as it's just a matter of somebody who's not true to their word.
Right.
And has no integrity. And it's very difficult to negotiate with love or build a relationship built on trust, based on trust with someone who doesn't have integrity. Look, all of us can be jerks. All of us can be assholes at times. You know, nobody has the market, you know, exclusively cornered on that. But what you try to do with your partner is build a foundation of trust. And that is only done by the commitments you're willing to make and keep. Okay. This is a rubric that you can actually use for all of your relationships, but you really only know how much you love yourself or anyone else by the commitments you're willing to make and keep. So if somebody is not willing to make and keep commitments with you, they're out.
Yeah, I let that relationship drag on way too long, and I completely agree with you. So I missed the red flags though, because he was userly and it was kind of like a con artist. So in the beginning, the first couple of years, he was so great, but it was an act. And then once he proposed and I accepted, then the real him started to come out. And I started to see that. But it's hard once you already love the person to just
Yes.
let
Yes.
go.
But you can only, you know, you could, you know, that's why it's best not to have intercourse until you have a commitment, because sometimes the intercourse and the chemistry of that can really get in the way of thinking clearly and seeing things clearly.
Yes. Yes.
But also, it can also be a matter of practicing just with yourself. Like a lot of times, especially if you've had any childhood trauma, we're taught often, especially women, to discount our feelings, right? I'm cold. No, you're not cold. It's warm outside, right? Your mom might say that because it's inconvenient or she has no sweater for you or whatever. But in effect, what that does is discount your feelings and make you doubt your own feelings. So a lot of times women will have a gut instinct or notice something's wrong, but because they're habituated to discounting that information, they carry on like they never heard it, right? And this is how, you know, this is how like long patterns of infidelity end up happening, because there are signs, you know, if you're living with someone, you know, there are always signs, and people who have woken up to long periods of infidelity have usually will acknowledge, yeah, there were signs, but I thought this, that, and the other. So part of it is learning to really listen to and heed your gut instinct. And you can do that by cherishing your own feelings. Because essentially, if a man isn't going to cherish your own feelings, then we got to do it for ourselves, right? Sometimes men will do it first, but sometimes we got to do it for ourselves. And so if something feels off or something doesn't feel good to you as a woman, you can just say, no, I don't feel comfortable. Something feels off. You know, people are often scared about online dating because, you know, you can meet a stranger, it could be dangerous, blah, blah, blah. You know, those situations are fairly rare, but I will say this, that everybody who has escaped one of these like online dating scammers or killers or whatever it is, did so because they heeded a gut instinct. You know, they'll be like, oh, I knew something was off. When he went to the bathroom, I left, you know, or I went to the bathroom, but then I left, or I said I had to go to the bathroom, or whatever it is. People who've escaped these people have always said they did it because they noticed something off. They had a gut instinct. These are women who are used to heeding their gut instincts, and it saved their lives. So I encourage you to just practice cherishing your feelings, which means, first of all, bringing an awareness to your feelings, which a lot of us, I mean, sometimes I work with people, they're like, what are feelings? Feelings are usually one word. So it's like, I feel sad, I feel happy, I feel confused, I feel insecure, I feel enthused, I feel refreshed. You know, these are feelings. If you're saying, I feel like you're a jerk, that's not a feeling. Okay. That's not your truth. That's a thought. that you're trying to give extra weight to by saying, I feel like. So practice cherishing your own feelings, and then that will start to cultivate your gut instinct a little more, so that if you are in a situation with somebody taking advantage of you, because not all men are going to take advantage of you. I hope you understand that.
Yeah, my trust has been shaken a bit, but yes, I want to believe there are some great men out there. So
Yes, there absolutely are. And men are having a really hard time right now. They're taking a really bad rap. Everyone's telling them they're toxic. There are a lot of wonderful men out there. Sometimes, we pick men, or we pick intimate partners that will fulfill the roles of our childhood scripting, because then we think we can resolve our issues. This is a subconscious or unconscious process that the psyche does. And so that's why you have to bring a lot of awareness. It's not really who you're attracting, because usually women will attract any number of kinds of men, but it's who
it's so
you're
interesting.
choosing.
It's so interesting because I did have a terrible abusive father growing up, and I never wanted to end up with someone like him, but both men I had long-term relationships were very similar.
Yeah. And that's how, and it's like, isn't that crazy? You think you
Yes.
did everything you possibly could to pick someone opposite, and your psyche still outsmarted you. I mean, you can't plan this stuff. It's crazy.
Right.
And that's because of something that's been identified by Freud and by a really great psychologist named Alice Miller. This is something we go into in the module package as well, which is called the repetition compulsion. And that basically means you're doomed to repeat that which you don't understand. Simply because something's familiar, you have a certain chemistry for it. And so that's why it takes so much awareness to change that, because that chemistry will bring you comfort, but it won't bring you joy. So it's kind of a compromise when you get into those relationships. It's familiar to you, so you like that, but it's not what you want ultimately.
Right. Well, I'm 48, so it's taken a while to to get clued in.
Yeah, well, some people don't get clued in their whole lives, or only get this on their deathbed. So you're ahead of the game. I mean, everybody in this room really is, because you guys are trying. Okay. Okay. I hope that helps. And I hope to hear your update, Helen. Okay. I have time for probably one more person. Vonica. Hi, Vonica.
Hello.
Oh, I can barely hear you. Can you get closer or speak up?
For sure. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, much better. How can I
Awesome.
help you?
Well, I just had a question, or see what you would say in this scenario. So I work from home, and I moved to a state where I moved to take care of a sick loved one, and just ended up loving the state and stayed. But I don't have any friends or family out here. And for me, I'm very know what I want, not in a rush to get in a relationship, because it's one of those things where I'm super independent, and I wouldn't mind having someone in my life, but I don't need someone in my life. So I'm like on these dating apps trying to find people, and I'm really, because I've heard so many horror stories, I'm not having any luck at all, because I'm like, I guess I'm kind of like eliminating people, like beyond eliminating people, probably way too
You're
fast.
being paranoid. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, if you don't want to video chat, then I'm not going to give you my time, because if we can't vibe, then why would I meet you?
That seems normal. That seems okay.
Well, a lot of people don't want to do that, or there's a lot of fake accounts. And my approach is, again, like great conversations or whatever the case is. But as soon as I say, let's go ahead and video chat so we can verify each other and see that we, have a cool vibe, because I'm totally looking for that friend that turns into something more. You're definitely not.
Yes, those are the best.
Yeah, you're definitely not getting the cookie unless I know that it's something going, to the next place. So, but a lot of these guys, they shy away from that.
That's
And
weird. I think that's a red
these are
flag.
probably fake accounts too, but it's keeping me single in my situation. I work from home. Everybody that I work with are in different states.
Okay,
And
so you need help getting out there, because
but
it
the
sounds like
thing-
you're in a bad zone with the dating apps. Okay, did you hear what I said about the 5 flirts?
I don't drink coffee. I'm not going to a coffee place to hang out. I pretty much my thing is like anime and like, manga. Like I'm a little bit of a nerd. So
Well, that's cool. There's like a
there's
lot
not
of manga bookstores, and those are like communities.
Yeah,
Those are
but-
communities that are having events in real life.
Yeah, but there's kids at those stores. I'm an older woman, I'm not
Well, there's
young.
both. There's both. I had a client who just went to one of these cosplay things.
Cosplay, yeah, I mean,
And it was all adults. It was very like R-rated. So,
um,
I would look at things that you are normally interested in. And also like
Mhm.
look at things since you work from home and because of
Uh-huh.
COVID, look, everybody's really rusty. So if you get invited to go somewhere or a party's happening or an event or whatever it is, try to go, because we got kind of introverted from COVID, and some of us are already a little introverted, and now we're a bit rusty. So you have, especially since you work from home, you have to make an effort to actually get out. Are you getting out at least once a day?
Oh yeah, I go to the gym.
Okay.
I go to dance class. I have a dance class. I mean, I do things that I like to do, but there's just not guys there. Like I'll go to a comic book store because I like comics. I need to get the new
Good.
one.
Okay, good.
There's not guys there. There's children there. Usually because of around my age, guys, kids, and I don't even know. They're just, I'm like denied. I know what I want, denied. It's so hard. It's like, oh my
Okay.
God, this is ridiculous.
Okay,
they
so
want to talk
did you
about
hear the
philosophy.
flirting technique that I put out there?
Mhm.
Okay. Do you know which one you want more? Do you want your feelings cherished or your thoughts respected?
I'm definitely a 50-50. There's no compromise. I want both, period.
Okay. So then that means that you'll have to alternate with transactions with people. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
If you're coming in with your thoughts, then you have to do the cherishing of the feelings.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I think go try to find just some more in-person things you can do, and use the eye contact and smile when you're out just doing your life and doing your errands. And you will meet people this way.
Well, I'm very social, so it's not like when I get out, I'm like, oh my God, don't look at me. I like compliment people on their shoes and their clothes. It's not that. It's just there's not that. I'm not having that connection or meeting that guy.
Okay.
I don't have
Well-
a problem with that. If I see a guy in a cute outfit, I'm like, oh my God, you are fire today. Like I don't have
Right. But
problems.
if you want to be in the feminine energy, you wouldn't be the first person to approach. And so sometimes what happens is women, and you sound like really intelligent, you already said you're strong and all that stuff. Look, women are amazing. We can do it all, but do you want to continue doing it all? Because if you don't, then you have to make a space in your life for the other person. And so that's what's kind of behind the complementary energy part of it. So you're either going to have to go and cherish a man's feelings, or you're going to have to try respecting his thoughts. And meeting a guy and going on a date, it's not like a job interview. It's not like just being social. It's a different deal. If you're going in with so much friendliness, that I'm just concerned that it could be killing the chemistry off the top of the bat. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So unless the other person is extremely shy and passive, the chemistry is not going to be there if you're going in with that much like, hey, how, that's great for a friendship. And that, you need to network for work. But for romantic communication, you don't want so much equality. You want that equity, like I was talking about. And it's kind of a subtle, nuanced difference. It takes a little while to understand it. One of the things that I really like about Native American societies, if you've studied them at all, is they have a very equitable society that also acknowledges the differences between men and women. The men, yes, they're out there hunting and doing all that, and, being brave and all that. The women, yeah, they take care of the kids, but in a Native American society, that is a very valuable role, because the women, the elder women of the tribe, are the ones who choose the chiefs, because they've known all the kids since they were little, because they took care of them. So in this way, we have equity in which both sides have power, but it's not a power struggle. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying. I
Okay.
hear what you're saying.
Okay.
res-
It's
I
fine if you don't have to do it. You can keep
Oh,
going the way you're going.
I see what you're saying. I appreciate your time and even, attempting to address it. It's just one of those things where if I, give you a compliment and you're not strong enough to be like, oh my God, she's nice too. If they even thought that, then okay, well, I don't know what to say about that, right?
I
But
100% get what you're coming from. And I wish it was like that too sometimes. Like, I don't like it either sometimes. I've been married a while. And there's times I know I'm smarter. I know I can do it better. But I shut my mouth to respect my husband. And it's hard. But I've learned that if I'm going all the time, if I'm coming up with all the ideas and all the stuff, I get burnt out.
yeah.
So
I was married for 11 years, so I definitely know about that give and take, no doubt about
Yeah.
it. It's definitely
yeah. Sometimes I like to sit back and receive in my personal relationship, and that means I have to take my foot off the control. And it's hard, but nobody does it perfect.
Oh, for sure. Sure. Thanks for sharing.
Oh, of course. Thank you for sharing. And thank you guys all for coming. I'm going to wrap it up now because it's 7 and I really do these for an hour. I'm here on Meetup. You can, here, I'll put my stuff in one more time. This is how you can find me. I put up original stuff on Instagram and TikTok every day. I will be starting to teach this work in a more concentrated form. I only teach it a few times a year. So if you're interested, this one's starting in 2 weeks and it's on a Saturday for the first time. Usually I teach it at night. So you can sign up there in the module package link. You can check out the podcast to hear this recording. And if I don't hear from you in that time, I hope to speak to you soon. Thanks for coming, guys.